Hello and welcome to the third annual Kat Scrappiness Holiday Retreat. I'm Shannon Lee Smith, part of the Kat Scrappiness creative crew, and I'm thrilled to guide you through today's events. We're here to spark your creativity with fun last-minute holiday papercraft ideas. Get ready to dive into projects like cards, tags, and other fun papercrafts. Everything you'll need to add a personal touch to your holiday celebrations. Here's the plan for today. We have 2 sessions. The first starts at 10 a.m. and the second at 2 p.m. Both are U.S. Pacific Standard Time. Throughout the retreat, we will be giving away mystery bundles filled with Kat Scrappiness craft supplies. Yay! Here's how to enter the giveaways. Complete the entry form linked in the description box and also pinned up there in the live chat. Like the video, give us a thumbs up to show your support for Kat Scrappiness. Subscribe to the Kat Scrappiness YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Kat Scrappiness newsletter, and you'll receive a secret coupon code every Friday evening. Use the link in the description box to subscribe to the newsletter. We'll announce the winners live in the chat at the end of each session. You must be present to claim your prize. For our replay viewers, don't worry. There's a special giveaway just for you. On November 8th, we'll randomly select one winner from all of the completed entries and notify them via email. Throughout the event, our creative crew will be active in the live chat to answer any questions you may have. We're here to spark your creativity and make this retreat fun and inspiring. Thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Hi friends, it's me again, Shannon Lee Smith, and I am here today to create a poinsettia card, a little corner poinsettia arrangement with the grungy background, give it a vintage look, and topped off with some gold sentiment. And I also have a matching gift tag that I'm going to create alongside. So let's get started. Oh, I am going to create the card with the tag with the pink poinsettia, but I did want to show you that it looks very stunning in red also. I'm just partial to pink, so I'm going to stick with my favorite. Okay, I'm going to bring out my grip mat on my Lazy Susan here, and I've already gone ahead and die cut all of my pieces parts so that we can do some ink blending. And I'm just going to stick them all to, I suppose I should share with you the products that I'm using. I am using today, this is the Christmas Wishes word die. It has a shadow, but I'm not going to be using the shadow. I should also back up a little bit so you can see everything. There we go, that's better. The small poinsettia, or poinsettia, and I'm going to be using 2 of the smallest flowers, and then 2 of the next size. The 2 of the smallest will be for the tag, the 2 of the next size, and then the 1 of the next size, so the second and third largest, for the card. And I won't be using the largest or the leaf by themselves. I'm also using the Christmas foliage, and I'm just going to use this pine branch here. Then I'm going to use these small pine branch for the tag. And the tag is from the Holiday Shaker tags. I'm using this rectangular tag and just the to and the from little die cuts. Okay, back to business. Get to ink blending these die cuts, and the colors that I'm using today are Aged Mahogany, Distress Ink, and Tattered Rose on the poinsettia. I never know how to say that. And then some, what are we doing? Shabby Shutters on the this little piece here for the center of the poinsettia. And we're going to bring out some of Kat's mini ink blending brushes. I use the ones with the silver handles for my dye inks. And we'll start with the darkest color, and that's aged mahogany. And I have an assortment of brushes. I use like a light and a dark for each color. I'm going to ink up my blending brush and then start in the very center and just go around in circle, ink up that center. And on this one, since it's the largest one, I want to come out quite a ways because this one is going to ultimately end up with the green tips on it, but I want it to have some of the pink and red showing also. So there we go. And then the next largest one, really darken up that center. Turn my little Lazy Susan. And my next one. I hope you guys all are enjoying the retreat so far. I'm not sure if I'm the first or the last presentation at the time I'm recording. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your support. Okay, now we're done with that one. I'm going to bring this out a little bit further on these smaller ones. There we go. Now for Tattered Rose Distress Ink. This also looks beautiful with the Distress Oxides with this color combination. I've done it in oxide, using the oxides before, and it blends beautifully, especially when you add water like I'm going to show you as soon as I finish ink blending these. And I'm just going really heavy with this Tattered Rose to get that to blend in that darker color. I'm going to play a little bit of music while I finish ink blending these flowers. When I'm finished with the tops, I'm going to flip them over and I'm just going to use the Tattered Rose on the underside. Now that I've cleaned off my mat, I'm going to ink up my pine boughs, I guess, or sprigs of pine. I'm starting with Rustic Wilderness Distress Ink and ink up my blending brush. And I'm going to bring this just right up the center, and I'm going to do this really heavy in the center using mostly the edge of my blending brush and turning it as the ink starts to lighten. Re-inking my blending brush, and I want this really dark in the center. That's one thing that I showed on my sample card I showed in the beginning, that I wasn't really happy with how light that was. So I'm going to come in really heavy with it, with the rustic wilderness on this card, on these pine boughs. And then the next color that I'm going to use is Shabby Shutters, and I'll let you listen to a little more music while I finish these up. I'm also going to use the Shabby Shutters on the outside of the, or I'm sorry, on the opposite side, the underside of the branches. Now I have a spray bottle with pearl powder in the color gold, and I am going to just shake this up, and we're going to mist all of our pieces. Actually, we're going to saturate them. So I want lots of sparkle and shine. There we go. And so I just keep this handy anytime I want to add some sparkle to my projects. What this does, not only does it add sparkle, but the water is going to make it so that when the paper dries, it becomes much more firm, and it will help us in our shaping of our flower. So I'm going to take my towel here, and I'm just going to press this and try to absorb some of that water. And then I'm going to set these guys aside for a bit. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll just keep them right there. Next, to make our background, I'm going to bring, and this is also what I cut my tag from, I have a piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch Nina Desert Storm cardstock, and we're going to do the same thing. I have a hair on me. And saturate this paper with our sparkly water. And I'm going to kind of rub that into the paper so it gets nice and damp and absorbs into those fibers. Spread that gold shimmer around and flip it over and do the same thing. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to crumple this paper up. I start in a corner and at the bottom, and I just bend and fold and contort the paper, trying not to rip it, but pushing it so it folds over, makes lots of crinkles in my paper. I want to get that really aged look, but also not lose my sparkle. So I usually do this 2 times, and I start at the opposite end that I started at to begin with, and give it a nice squeeze, and there we go. I'm going to flatten this out. And now what you can do is you can either dry it with a heat tool, or you can just let it air dry. I need to let, I suppose these should be dry enough for me to start shaping those. I'm going to set this aside so it will air dry. So I have a foam pad that's about 3/8 of an inch, and it's very firm foam. But this is going to help me to shape my poinsettias. I'm going to take one of my sets of leaves and flip that over upside down, and from the back side I'm going to take my tool here that it's a round ball stylus, and it has, this is not the largest, but the smaller on the largest tool. I hope that makes sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the tip, and I'm going to press down, and I'm going to roll that towards the center, and then do it on just outlining that leaf and pressing down. And as I press down, that leaf is going to come up, and that's going to give us all the dimension that we need to create a really full poinsettia. They're still a little bit wet. If they're really wet, I wouldn't drag the stylus. I would just kind of roll it towards the center. And you can tell by how much the paper puckers if the paper is too wet still. Just pushing and dragging. Pushing down and dragging the outline of that of each of the leaves. And then all of the leaves have come up. Now we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to press down in the center, and I'm going to help these leaves kind of poke out. There we go. And then push down really firm so I get those petals to come up, or leaves. And then I'm going to set that one aside, and I'm going to repeat that for each of these different sets of leaves. I'm going to move to a smaller stylus. You see the tip on this stylus is much smaller for the smaller sets of leaves. And I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. So just coming around the outside of those leaves. And then flip that over, and give it a push in the center, and then push that down. And you can, if the leaves start coming together, you can pull them apart so they dry normally. Next, we're going to do something similar with the pine boughs. But this time I'm just going to push in the center, and that's going to bring that up, but it's also going to bring the outside in. Hold the tail down, that will help. And then you can take and just bring those outside sprigs kind of in the center, so that give it some character and dimension. And then with the larger one, we'll do the same thing, just pushing down in the center. And then give them a little pinch so they rise up. That was the purpose of doing the ink blending on the back of the paper cut or die cuts, is because since we're giving it so much dimension, you can see underneath the different pieces. So I'm going to finish these off, and I'll be right back. I forgot one last piece. This is the centers of the poinsettia, and I'm just going to push my small ball stylus right in the center, and that's going to bring those little pokey things up. And now I'm going to set all of this aside to dry. Now I'm going to use some distress ink in the color Vintage Photo. I have a finger dauber, and I'm going to ink up my finger dauber, and then I'm going to come around the outside edge of my distressed and crumpled up piece of light craft cardstock. Do that relatively quickly. And then I've already done the same thing on the tag that I cut from another piece of crumpled up and sprayed cardstock. So now with the remaining ink that's on my dauber, I'm going to lightly go over the ridges so it'll grab that ink on the edges and really bring out that distressing on the paper. And if I need a little more ink, I just tap it on the ink pad and then tap it on the inside of the lid of my ink. I'm just not pushing down firmly. I'm just trying to drag it so it'll grab those ridges and really show the crumpling of the paper. And next, we're going to glue together our flowers. Let me grab my tweezers and my glue. Zoom out just a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. And so the one with the green on the tips is going to be the bottom. And then we're going to layer up these two pieces on top of each other, offsetting them so that these leaves go in between the leaves on the bottom. But I'm only going to add glue right here in the center and have that attached to the center of the bottom set of leaves. I want to make sure no glue oozes out and attaches my flower to the paper beneath it. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Add the glue to the center and offset those leaves. Give it a push till it grabs hold. Then I'm going to take the little tiny piece, the little center green piece, add some glue to that and drop that down in the center of my flower. Or that is actually the flower of a poinsettia or poinsettia. The leaves, the pink leaves and the green leaves are that actually leaves. The flower of a poinsettia is just the stuff in the middle, if you didn't know that. And we're going to do the same thing with the little small poinsettia. A little bit of glue, offset the leaves. Let's see. Give it a little press in the middle. Make sure it's not sticking to the paper beneath it. Grab my little green piece, some glue there, drop that in the center. There we go. I'm going to start with the tag, and let's see, which way is the back? I think this is the back of the, and we're going to add the to and the from. Because the paper is crumply, you got to really give it a good push to get it to grab hold. And then the to. Make sure this is straight. I'm going to flip this over, grab our little pine sprigs, have them close by, glue my flower just in the center, and add that right about there. Give that a push until it grabs hold. Then with our little pine sprigs, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the top of the stem, just at the end, and then some on the bottom. And poke that in underneath those leaves. Push that down with my tweezers until it grabs hold, and do the same thing with the other one in the opposite direction. And I just want to let you know that Kat Scrappiness now has the glue press in her store, so if you are interested in purchasing the My Sweet Petunia glue press that I'm using to apply my glue, we now have it at the Kat Scrappiness store. So there's that. Now, with this one, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to adhere my flower into the corner of this card and make sure my leaves are, I'll put one leaf that's poking towards the corner, make sure when they kind of flatten that they're going to still be on the edge of the card or within the edge of the card. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did with the other pine sprigs on the tag, and we're going to just poke those underneath. If I can get it under there, there we go. Poke that underneath and give that a push till it grabs hold. And then the last one. And then we'll add our sentiment. I'm going to speed this up as I'm adding the glue to the back of the sentiment so we can finish up this video and you can get on to the next video in our retreat. Now all I have to do is add some string to my tag and add this card front to a card base, and we're ready to go. Thanks so much for watching my presentation today. Remember to sign up for the giveaways. The entry form is located in the description box below the video. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to the Kat Scrappiness newsletter. Bah, words are hard. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Hello and welcome to the Kat Scrappiness Winter Retreat. My name is Donna Tushoff. I am Donna diycrafting on the socials, and today we're going to be making a card with an ornament gift. We're going to start by using the Christmas lantern shaker die, and then we will use a piece from the Merry Grouchmas paper pad on some dark green cardstock. I've already cut a lot of the pieces for this just to save some time here. But we're going to start with the flames, the bow, and the sprigs, and we're going to put some color on those. I cut those in white cardstock. I'm going to put them on my grip mat here. Now I will tell you my grip mat is well loved and probably needs to be cleaned because it's lost a little bit of its stickiness, but it still does the job. And I am going to start with the small flame, and I'm going to use some mustard seed of the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide. I'm just going to add this on to those small flames, just covering it completely, and then I'm going to come back with a smaller detail brush and add in some spiced marmalade. Now, the spiced marmalade I'm just going to add on the corners to add a little bit of the orange tint onto that yellow, and then I'll come back with my yellow brush and just kind of make sure that it's blended well. I didn't go too far with that orange. Then I will move to the larger flames. I'm going to cover that with the spice marmalade to start with, just covering the whole thing. Again, this is Distress Oxides, which is a hybrid ink. It takes a little bit longer to dry, and they are a little bit of a chalky look. but I really like the way that they blend and that they're so easy to put onto the cardstock. On top of that spice marmalade, I'm going to add a little bit of crackling campfire. So this is kind of like a dark reddish orange, and it will just add the highlights onto this to give it a little bit of red. And again, I come back with the spice marmalade just to make sure that it's blended well. Now I only have 2 sets of flames here. I did have to go back and make a third. As you'll see later in my card, I did need 3 sets of the flames in the end. Moving on to the sprigs, I am going to be using some twisted citron. It's a bright green color. And I'm going to just cover the sprigs completely with this twisted citron. Now you could use any type of ink, and you can use any colors that you want to. This is just what I chose to. Like I said, I think the Distress Oxides go on so easily, so smooth, and they blend so well. So I thought it was the easiest to do when I'm trying to cover white cardstock. I've done a lot of cards that are just white cardstock only and then covered the different pieces and parts in ink. On top of the twisted citron, I am going to take this darker green, which is called Rustic Wilderness. I'm taking a small brush and just going down through the center. So you're really only seeing the edges on the twisted citron, and the middle is the Rustic Wilderness. And I'm not being exact, I'm just quickly going through it. As you know, in nature, nothing is exact, so this was just a little easier. I can just go quickly and just add a little bit of darker color to these, and then the tips are still going to be that lighter green. As we move on from that, we're going to go into the bows here. For the bows, I decided I wanted to go with red bows. So I decided I would use the Festive Berries as the base layer. That is a brighter red, I would say. And then after I cover the entire bow quickly with that, I'm going to come back and highlight just the edges with my other color, which is a little bit of lumberjack plaid. So it's a darker red. As you can see, even on the pad, it's a little bit darker red. So I'm just adding a little bit of the tips with that darker red and keeping the rest of it the brighter red. And there we have our little pieces and parts. We've colored all of the white pieces, and we'll use those as we assemble our card. My next step is I'm going to take this lantern base and I am going to add some acetate to this. I'm going to make this into a shaker, so I need to put acetate on each side. I'm just using some liquid glue. I use the Bearly Arts liquid glue. Any liquid glue would work. I cut my acetate a little bit larger, and then I will just trim it down along the edges after the glue has set just a second or two. And I have 2 of these pieces because my lantern is going to be like a see-through lantern. You're going to be able to see through both sides. They'll be duplicated on each side. So I needed to put the acetate on each side. This will give me a good base, and then we'll add foam tape to make our shaker in a bit. But you notice we have these handles, and the handles were a little bit of a challenge. I cut a lot, and I lost count of how many times I cut these handles. And I glued them together, and that is what I'm going to use on my handles here. They're a little harder to shape because they're so flimsy, so that's why you have to give it some strength by adding layers, but I also wanted to make it as tall as my foam tape so that when I add my foam tape to the bottom, the handle would also have the same height. So approximately the same height as my foam tape. So here I'm adding it onto one side, and it is pretty thick, but it was well worth it to make the sturdiness of that handle. I added my foam tape to one side of my shaker card, and now I'm just taking a black alcohol marker, and I'm going along the edges, both on the outside and the inside, with that black alcohol marker to cover up that white, so that when you look at the side of the ornament, you don't just see this bright white foam tape. Now, you could use black foam tape. I did not have any. I know there is some out there on the market, but I had this thinner foam tape that was only white. So to me, it was easier just to take the black alcohol marker and cover both the inside and the outside edges. And it's pretty simple to do as well. And I think that will give it a good finished look when we're done. I'm adding my shaker bits, which are some yellow and some light orange shaker bits. I just added quite a few of these into the middle. I'm going to remove the foam tape cover, and then we're going to put these two pieces together. Now, I'll go back and glue the handle after this. I did not want to have to do all of that at once, so I thought it was better to just go ahead and get the shaker part closed. That way we get all the bits enclosed, and then I can go back and glue the handle together. So here you have to make sure that you have all the pieces not touching the foam tape and make sure that it's well adhered so that none of your pieces come falling out. I did glue, like I said, the handle, and now I'm adding the accent pieces. I used a brushed rose gold for the accents on this. There's a bottom piece, there's a top piece, and then there's the two circles like holding where the handle comes down to meet the lantern. My thought is on those bottom pieces, I think it would be really nice if you would add either like the year or the person's name or something like that, since it's, this is an ornament, and then they would have it to hang on their tree. I think the year would be really nice if you just wrote that in on that bottom piece. That would look really cool as an ornament for the tree. For the little circle pieces, I used my pickup tool to grab them because they're a little harder to get, and then place them on at that joining piece. And again, I used just this brushed rose gold. And I am putting this on both sides. Like I said, this is an ornament that you're going to be able to look at from either side, and it will be the same on each side. So there I have the base part of the lantern. I'm going to now decorate the top just a little bit. And this is where the pieces that we colored previously are going to come in. And I'm going to take my little sprigs and just add a little bit of glue to the middle part of those sprigs and lay them out on the lantern. I'm going to end up using 5 different sprigs. I have them going different directions, some going up, some going down, and then I'll eventually put one at the very bottom as well. These will be under the bow. The bow's going to go, as you saw, I was laying the bow out there. The bow will go on top of these, but I think this is a good base layer for the bow to go on. So it gives a little bit of greenery behind the bow. And again, we have to do this on both sides so that we have the same look on both sides. Here's my 4 pieces on here. Again, they're going some up, some down. And I decided I want a little bit of green coming out of the bottom. So I'm going to add that 5th sprig just coming down straight down from the bottom. And everything meets in the center where we'll put the center of that bow. And that covers up where those sprigs all meet. I use my reverse tweezers quite a bit to hold these little pieces and to put them down. I didn't think I would ever use reverse tweezers, and then when I got started using them, I can't stop using them. Next piece is the flames. I added the 2 big and little flames together, and I'm just adding the flames on the bottom. And I did this on the outside of the card so that the shaker bits did not get stuck on them. Now I'm adding the flames. This is a base piece that I made for my card part. And I used a little bit of brushed copper on this one instead. And then the sentiment is some rose gold embossed sentiment here. And I'm just adding that on here. And as you'll see, we're going to use this as the part of the card that will remain once you take the ornament off. So the card will still be somewhat intact even after you take the ornament off. My thought is I'm going to have the base piece like this on the card look very similar to the ornament. I'm going to put the sprigs on here like we did before, but I have a little bit different bow. I could have done the red bow again, but I just to show you an option is I made a little ivory bow made out of ribbon, just craft ribbon. And I'm going to put that on this one. And then I cut a little strip and scored it in half. And I am adding pieces, it's like a half circle of Velcro that I'm adding to this. And I'm going to put this at the top of the card, and that will hold our ornament in place when you're giving this card to whoever you plan to give it to. So I'm adding those two pieces of Velcro, just making sure that they're lined up by closing it once they're attached, and that makes sure that they're lined up. And then I will glue that onto the center top of this card. So I'm laying it out on my glass map so I can measure where the center is. I use my lines on my glass mat quite a bit so that I have the right centering for this. So we're going to hold that down just a little bit to make sure that the glue adheres, because when you pull up, that Velcro could pull that up very easily. You can see the half circles of Velcro there. So you can see I'm going to put the ornament in there, close up the Velcro, and that will allow that ornament to hang there until it's gifted, and then it can be taken off very easily and still have a beautiful card. So there's my ornament hanging on there. I'm going to glue my regular lantern for the card in the same spot here. So I'm going to glue it down, and I'm going to make sure I attach that bow as well, which I ended up having to use some score tape for the bow. I tried gluing it. It was not sticking for me, so I ended up using some score tape, which is a very heavy-duty double-sided tape, which allowed the bow to stick down. And then the ornament can lay in exactly the same place. You don't really see the back lantern until you're done and you take the ornament off. So there we have our ornament and our card, both made from this lantern and decorated, and the ornament will make a great piece for your Christmas tree. Thank you for watching this video today. I hope that you have lots of new ideas on how to use this lantern in the future and how to make ornaments and cards together to give as gifts. I hope you enjoy the rest of the winter retreat. There are lots of great classes, so enjoy and happy crafting. Have a great day.
Hello everyone, Von Marie here, and welcome to the winter retreat at Kat Scrappiness. So here are some coffee Christmas gift card holders or tags that I made, and I used some ephemera, and this is Mary Grouchmas die cut ephemera. I also used some embellishments. I used some pattern paper, and I added a ho 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 die there and some ribbon, and here's the inside. It says just for you, and we are going to start off with some craft card base, and this is the Cup of Joe gift card tag die, and I'm just going to run it through my die cutting machine. And are you so excited to be here for the winter retreat? I'm super excited, and I will be in the chat if you have any questions. So I'm pretty much going on real time here, so I am just going to die cut it, and this is my Spellbinders die cutting machine, and I am sorry for it bouncing. It bounces on my desk. And so this is a heavyweight card base, so it is 110 pounds, although it feels kind of like 120 pounds. And so I am going to need my Teflon bone folder from Kat Scrappiness to crease these lines. And usually this cup holder, the gift card's on the outside there. And I am going to just crease it so that it will be on the inside. And so I am using my bone folder, which I love. I use this bone folder all the time. And these coffee gift card holders can be for any time, but since this is a winter retreat and it's always fun to give a coffee gift card for Christmas, although I think coffee is for any time. So thinking of you or a birthday or anything like that. So here is the Whoville Christmas 6x6 paper pad, and there's so many fun designs on here, but I really like this Presents teal colored pattern paper. I love teal, and there's some pretty green and red. For the other two, I used the Ugly Sweater 6x6 paper pad, but I wanted to do a different paper, so I'll probably use a mix of these two papers, paper pads, and make a few more later on. And so I'm just going to cut that front part off because that is all I need for the top cover of the coffee gift card holder here. And you can just use it as cardstock. You don't need to add any pattern paper at all, or you can use something else if you like, maybe fabric, or there is a line there that I was showing you. So I'm just going to cut that off there. It's just excess, and I wanted it perfectly straight, so I will be cutting those edges off. Once I glue it with my liquid glue, and this is just my Barely Art liquid glue, and I always get confused, is it Barely Art or Barely Arts, but I don't have it in front of me at this moment to tell you, but I'm sure you know what I mean. And so just lining it up here, and so yes, I'm super excited to be here for the winter retreat. I will also be watching everyone participating in the retreat to see all their fun ideas. And I love that it's a free retreat also, so you can craft along with us, and you can re-watch it if you miss it. You can watch the replay. So just cutting that off there, and to me it looks great. There's just a little piece that it was sticking out, but I think it's fine. So again, just using my bone folder, and there is a hole on the top there, and you can punch that out and add some ribbon, which I love, and I will be doing that. And there is a cozy, like a cozy cup that you could put in the center of that coffee gift card holder. It comes, what is it? A coffee cozy. That's what it's called. I used it one time, as you can see on the left there a little bit, but I wasn't going to use it on this one, but it is in the Cup of Joe gift card tag die, and so you can choose to use it if you like. I'm going to use this guy with the chimney, and I was kind of seeing which other one looked good. I did use a couple of the other images already, so I wanted to use something new. And there's a cute pup there, and you can also put that inside of this cup holder. I really, really love that one. I did use that one on that one there. And so let's use something different. So this chimney one, it is. And it looks like he's in the snow. He's delivering presents, hopefully. There are these other pieces too in the Cup of Joe gift card tag die set that you can use as well. So that dog would look super cute there also. And since animals, well, dogs are known to get these, what are they? Cups, some whip cups that they get at the coffee shops. So you can give a gift card to a dog, a dog owner, and they can go together and get one for the dog. So you could put that dog on top of there to decorate. I just cut out a snowdrift just with my scissors, really easy. And I am just going to slip that guy there. Maybe that's a rooftop that he's on. The rooftop is full of ice, and so that's what I was going for. They're full of snow. And I think it looks really festive, and so I'm going to go ahead and add that with liquid glue. And next I will place my guy, I believe. Yes, I did add him with foam tape. So I think I am going to grab some foam tape. I'm also going to cut my snowdrift here hanging off the side. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I will also put everything I used in the description. And if it's not in the description, just ask me and I will let you know what I used. So I'm going to put my, there are two options. You can use that topper there. I'm going to use the skinnier one, this one here, because I am going to use that ho 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 die and shadow. And so I'm going to use some red cardstock for that piece. I'm also going to use the red cardstock for the ho 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 word, and then those are the only two I will be using for that red cardstock. And then I'm going to use the shadow piece with white cardstock. And I thought I would just clear off my desk because it was getting too crowded and I couldn't find anything. Don't you just love that when you can't find anything? And so I will use my small die cutting machine for these pieces here. And here is my word and my shadow. And so red cardstock, here we go. I'm going to cut some more scrap off this piece here. And now I'm ready to die cut those pieces. And you can do a bunch of these assembly line. And I think they're just so fun. I would love one of these. And you can place it on the tree as well. So different options, putting it, you can put it as an extra on a gift. You could put it in a stocking. So I just love these easy gift ideas. And so I'm going to run this piece and then I'll run my word through there. And we're getting close to the holidays, so it's time to start thinking what to do, what kind of presents, something that's stress-free, and these are stress-free. Even for a teacher, sometimes I give our teacher a gift card, so maybe she will get one of these. Of course, not a McDonald's one. I will give her a coffee one. And And so I should stock up on some coffee gift cards. Making this video, we are in the beginning of October. So I wasn't thinking too much about holiday gifting. But now that we are in November, I will be. So here is how it's cut out. The ho, 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 those are separate from the exclamation marks and the dots. So you have to glue those glue them onto the shadow. And it's really easy because you can tell where the ho, ho, ho goes, and you can tell where the exclamations go. So I am just going to glue those on. Again, using my liquid glue. And I'm just going to pop them out with my tool here. And I didn't want to lose any pieces. Some of these do look like exclamation, and they're just like the negative pieces. And so I would sometimes think, oh, I lost one, or but it was one that didn't even matter. But I did save it in my embellishment tray just because I was afraid to throw it away. And so getting my tweezers, it's much easier to glue with tweezers. And these are my favorite tweezers, believe it or not. I don't have many. I think I only have like 3 or 4. I don't know. I think I need another pair, but this one is my favorite. And I'm not just saying that because it's from Kat Scrappiness. It really is my favorite. It holds on great. It's pretty. So that's how it should look. And then I'm just going to add the other 2. You can, I like how they're spaced out a little bit, so you can cut around them if you just wanted to put them like a different, you could stack them on top of each other. It depends on your project, so you could put like ho, ho, ho downwards, or however your project is. Sometimes I think I need a sentiment that is long ways, and so you just, however you want to place it on your gift card holder. It would be fun if you did like ho, ho, and then inside put the third ho. So different ways to do your sentiment here. And adding my last one, and then I will glue it to my cup. And there's the exclamation, and yay, my dot there didn't get lost. I was very careful. Sometimes I have to die cut 2 times because I lose it. Or I place a paper. Sometimes if it's a critter with eyes, I will place a paper in the back because I don't want to die cut it again. Okay, so it is done. And so now let's put these pieces together. And see how easy this is, isn't it fun? I love using different pattern papers too. So if you have some scraps, this is really a great idea to use your scraps. And making sure it's straight. And then I will place that. I wanted to make sure it would close. You can add foam tape to the back of that as well, but I didn't. I just used liquid glue. Okay, and so that is done. We do need some ribbon for that hole there on top, and it depends on how you want to put your ribbon. I just put it with a stapler, but if you want to hang it on a tree or hang it on something, then you'll have to add it a little differently. And this ribbon says Merry Christmas. I've had it in my stash and it was brand new, and I'm finally using it. So I'm glad I'm able to use it, and I'm just going to stick it through there and pull it through, and then I'm going to use my Tim Holtz scissors here, or not scissors, stapler, and I will just staple this ribbon together and cut off the extra. You can add more twine there and tie it around. And just watch your fingers, because I almost got my fingers there. How many times have we hurt ourselves in our craft room? Too many for me to count. Okay, so that is done. And I'm going to show you this ribbon I have that you can add more ribbon. And so I will add him with foam tape. And then the last thing to do is the sentiment for the inside. And of course, add your gift card. And foam tape and I have a love and hate relationship, and I always forget to use my tool here to get it. I'm always in a hurry to just pull it off, but it doesn't work, so that is that. Yay, it's on. And I think I'm saying if you add the cozy, that would be cute too, the coffee cozy. So now I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and it's going to say a little something for you, which I love that, because a gift card is a little something, but it can be a big something as well, and I like that. And it could be inexpensive as $5 or $10, or it can be even higher. So I love that idea. So I'm just going to use my VersaFine ink and stamp that sentiment on some white cardstock, and then I will use the coordinating die to cut it out. And so I really, really love this sentiment. The whole stamp set from the Christmas lantern add-on is really pretty. I love the images and all the sentiments on there. And this is a sentiment for any occasion, a little something for you. And I love that the die cuts it out for you. And if you don't have the die set, then use your paper trimmer, or you can fussy cut it. I am grabbing some tape and some washi tape, I believe. And I just had it to the side of me. It's not tape that I recommend because it does tear, but it was what I had next to me. And I will just add that with some liquid glue when I'm done, and I'll use my small die cutting machine, and so I hope you are liking this project, and you've probably made something like it or similar, and so, or maybe it's something on your list. So I hope it helps you and inspired you and that you're having fun today. That's what matters. And so I will just place that on the inside here, and then I'm just going to add some stickles to my image here, my ephemera on the front of this coffee gift card holder or tag. So really cute. And so, and I do have my embellishments here as well. So I am going to add, I think, 3 embellishments. You get, in this mix, you get snowflakes, you get that same green guy, and you get hearts, and you get little Santa hats. So, and you get sprinkles. So a really great mix, fun for shaker cards. And I'm just going to use my tool and add 3 of those. And then the last thing I do will be to add stickles, and I believe I just add stickles to his Santa hat. So really cute, and I had to add some sparkle somewhere. And these are also perfect for men too, so a great masculine project. Men love coffee too. And so, and I'm just cleaning up that glue there. I don't want any excess. And then here comes the red stickles that I have. And these last a long time. I've had this bottle for a long time. And so, yay, this project is done. And I needed to hold it up close because my eyes can't see. I will be getting glasses soon, so that will help. And cleaning that up a little bit as well. So yay, I love how it came out. I think it's pretty. And here are the other 2. And yay, so thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me today. I truly appreciate it. Have fun and enjoy crafting, and I will see you soon.
Hey friends, it's Jana with J. Marie Design. I am part of the Kat Scrappiness creative crew, and I'm so excited to be presenting to you today for the 2025 winter retreat. We're going to make this super cute pop-up gift card holder. I picked out the Nutcracker stuff from Kat Scrappiness collection, the Nutcracker collection. And I have the paper pad, the stamp set, and the dies. I've already got them die cut and colored. And let's go ahead and get this ready to go. I will have a slide at the end of the presentation that has all the cutting and scoring directions. All right, let's start with our card base and our inside pop-up base. We're going to do a little scoring. So my card base is cut at 4 1/4 by 11 inches. I am going to score at 5 1/2, and then I'm going to give that a really good crease. And when you score, or when I score, the way you should score, I think, is the little bump or the ridge should be on the inside. It just helps your paper fold a little better. And then I use the corner of my score buddy to just make sure everything is lined up. So then our next piece is cut at 4 by 10 1/2. and I'm going to score at 3 1/4, and then I just turn it around and I score at 3 1/4 again. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to score at 5 1/4. This gives us our little kind of our larger pop-up mechanism on the inside. And then I'm going to use the corner again to get that folded and scored nice. And see, this is where I show you that bump should be on the inside, like you fold it so that it's hidden in the middle. And we'll get that a good smushing or burnishing if you want the, proper terms. I prefer smushing. But anyway, let's get this scored. And it's ready to go. So we have either an M or a W, depending on how you look at it. And then we are going to score our little tiny inside mechanism, which is 2 tall by 1.5 wide, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5. And then we'll get that folded. And that is our little pop-up mechanism. So I'm having trouble there putting things together. I picked the Nutcracker. I love this paper. I love both sides of it, but I liked these soft pastels because they kind of go with how I have everything colored. And I did die cut an extra layer just because it's a pop-up and I wanted to make sure they had some good dimension and rigidity to them. So we're going to use Clara, and I thought about using the mouse, but I'm just going to go with her holding her Nutcracker and a gift. And you could put a sentiment either at the bottom or up in the top corner there. So let's get this glued down. And I did already glue down the front panel of colored pattern paper, and that is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So this looks amazing and it has a lot of that wow factor, but it is actually really easy to put together. And you could leave it as not a gift card holder and just add, maybe a note or something inside. But I like the idea of it being a gift card holder. So we're just going to get her put down, and that is our front of our card. And there's where I'm showing you could put a sentiment either place. So now we're going to take our pieces for our inside pop-up, and the larger panels are cut at 3 inches tall by 3 3/4 inches across. And so we're going to get those put down on those two. And again, I just picked the colors that kind of went with the coloring. And my coloring, I used the images that are actually on the other side of the paper to stick with the theme and how Kat had the paper designed, or the whole collection designed. There's even more to this collection than just these stamps and these dies. There's also ephemera. So, if you didn't want to color and cut everything, grab that ephemera pack and use those pieces instead of the colored ones, or mix and match. You could add some of the ephemera in with some of your colored die cut pieces. So get our little top piece down here, and this is actually a pink with little really light polka dots. One of my favorites. I think I have maybe one sheet left of that paper because I use it a lot. And then this yellow actually has little ornaments on it, and it's really pretty. But it matches, I thought it matched her hair color, and so it kind of pulls that in. But you know what? You use whatever you want, or whatever stamps and dies you have to make it work for you. So we're going to get this glued down, and then the next step is we're going to put down our little inside mechanism. And to do that, I put glue, you'll see here in a second, we're just going to get that stuck down, on the two ends, and then I just stick it inside and I close the card. That is the easiest way that I have found. And you could use a dry, like tape runner adhesive instead. I use Barely Art glue. That is my go-to for pretty much everything. And so I'm going to get that added, and I just fold it in half, and then I kind of eyeball where center would be, and I pull it back just a little bit from the score line, just so that it opens and closes easily. So we got it there, we close it, and then I'm going to grab a magnet and stick on there and let it go. All right, so we have all of our mechanisms in there. You can see how it sits. Now let's get all of our little pieces put in there. So I have the present, one of the presents, and the mouse. I love this mouse. There's another one too, but I just love them. And the mice are such a big part of the story. So that I chose this because the Nutcracker, my sister was a dancer, and she was a bonbon. She wasn't very old in the Nutcracker with the dance company in the town that I grew up in. And it's always been one of my favorite stories. And the music, or not the musical, but the, the performance is one of my favorites, and the music as well. But the story is so sweet. So there is our mouse and his gift, and we're going to get that. All right, so we've got our inside pieces done. I put the other ones in there off camera, and you just want to make sure that they don't stick out the top of your card. So if you close it, just make sure that your little pieces there aren't taller than your card. So I'm trying to figure out which paper and how I'm going to put the card in, and I cut it to 3 3/4 by 2. And then I just put a little notch in the top there. So if you had a smaller card or cash or whatever, you can easily grab it out. And I'm using some very thin score tape, and I'm just going to go right up along the very, very edge. And you just want to make sure that wherever you put your adhesive or, your glue, that your card still fits in your little pocket. So just make sure, do a little dry run before you peel off the backing to make sure that your card is going to fit. So we'll get this all adhered and get that stuck down. And then really all that's left is to put the card insides to the outside. Now you could add sentiment or more ephemera, some bling, whatever on the insides and outsides. This is yours to decorate as you want. I love this. I have made so many of these with, different papers, different pop-ups, using just ephemera, but it's so fun. And if you had smaller ephemera, you could put it on this larger base here and put your gift card as the pop-up, where I have the Mouse King and the Ballerina Clara. All right, so we got that on there, and a sweet little sentiment on that pink panel there would be perfect. I left sentiments off just to show you the basics of building this, but it would be so fun. So now we're just going to put this into our top. Now remember, this base is cut smaller than our card base. My glue bottle is stuck. So let's give that a little cleaning, and then we'll get back to it. So our card base is cut a 1/2 inch smaller, so that when the card opens, that there's some tension and it stays sitting up, so you have the little step up, pop up part. So we're going to glue this down, but we're going to leave our border at the top. It's a 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. Just make it equal. Mathing is hard. So we got that centered there. Then we are going to do the same to the bottom panel. And you'll see what I mean with the tension. It just, because it's shorter, it doesn't open all the way because it's just not as big. So that's what gives us our little step. Isn't this fun? I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you have enjoyed the winter retreat and all of the presenters and all of the projects. I hope that you will craft along and create some of these. And there we go. We have our Nutcracker pop-up, step-up gift card holder. I love it. This is one of my favorites. I loved coloring it. I love the project. I love the papers, even though they're fairly simple. I could have gone with the more patterned area ones that they have in the pack, but I kept it simple. And it doesn't quite stand up because of the insides. I'm trying to get a good view to show y'all how it looks. And I'll have some photos here in just a moment that show you the finished card. So here are all of the cutting and scoring dimensions, as well as the Kat Scrappiness products that I used. Again, I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful time with the rest of the retreat.
Hey everyone, it's Brian here from diycrafts and more here on YouTube. Today I'm coming on to do a video for the Kat Scrappiness Winter Christmas Retreat 2025. And I'm going to be making a Gatefold gift card holder. So basically what we're going to do is make an A2 size gift card holder, but it's going to be Gatefold and you're going to love this. So I'm going to show you how to make this now. So we're going to take a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock and cut down on the 11-inch side down to 5.5 inches. So that'll basically give us a 5.5. Sorry, it's 5.5 inches, not 8.5 inches. So we're going to cut down to 5.5 inches on the long side. And we're going to go ahead and score on the 8.5 inch side, because we got 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And we're going to score at 2 1/8 inches. So we're going to be using that tick mark that's in the middle between 2 inches and 2 1/4 inches. So that'll be 2 1/8 inches. We're going to turn this a half turn. And we're going to score again at 2 1/8 inches. And that's all the scoring we need to do for now. So we're going to go ahead and burnish down these score marks. Like so. And now we're going to be using Kat Scrappiness products here. This is coming from the Falling Leaves 6x6 paper pad. I honestly don't have any Christmas card stock from Kat Scrappiness at the moment, so we're going to just use what we have already. And we're going to put these, actually we're going to put these on this side here, on the outside. Let's go ahead and unclog this. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to be using the one with green on one side and the and the leaves on the other side, like this one. But you can use any paper pad you want. And this does not actually have to be a Christmas card. It could be a birthday card as well, or any occasion like an anniversary card, retirement card, what have you. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down right here. Get that excess glue off. And yes, it is going to be a little bit off here because I cut before I forget, I cut these at 2 inches wide by 5¼ inches tall. So, gotta remember that. Gonna burnish this down real quick with the scraper. And now we're gonna put our other piece on, same way. So here we go. Gonna burnish that down. So we got this so far. Now we're gonna put our inside on. And I'm gonna show y'all how to cut this on this one. Okay, so we're gonna cut. If you're using directional cardstock, you want to cut the top part off here at 5¼ inches. But since this is not directional, we're not going to worry about that. And this piece is coming from the Birthday Kawaka's 6x6 paper pad. So we cut that down to 5¼ inches. And we're going to cut 3 pieces now. They are 2 inches. We're only going to need 2 of them. So we're going to use these 2. And we're going to go ahead and just use this here. So what I'm trying to show you here is you don't have to use all Christmas products for this. Even though this is going to be a Christmas gift card holder, there's no law that says you have to use said paper for said purpose or any supplies really. I'm getting the best I can out of what I have, which is what I'm trying to show y'all here. And I'm going to put this piece on as well on the other side. And we're going to go like this. Okay, that's not going to move. So now I'm going to take a piece of regular cardstock. This will be red that measures 4 inches by 5¼ inches. Now I'll go here in the middle. Going to burnish that down. And then we're going to cut another piece out of the other half of the 8.5 by 11 that we have. That's not this part. We're going to cut that down to 3.5 inches. by 4 3/4 inches. So we're doing like, just a second. We're going to be doing so what I'm trying to say here is this is 1/4 inch smaller than the card itself on the inside. We're going to make this another 1/2 inch smaller than this. So that's why I cut this at 4 by 5 1/4, and I cut this at 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So you can see more of the red on here is what's going on. So we're going to put this here. And now we're going to work on our front, which is going to have the gift card holder right here. So I cut a piece of cardstock to measures 3 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. And what I'm about to do is I'm going to cut out a little something here from Kat Scrappiness. This is the brush Christmas tree die. You can find that at katscrappiness.com along with the birthday quokkas cardstock and the falling leaves cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out real quick. And I'm going to use some green cardstock. Oops, sorry. Okay. Got that taken care of. So what we're going to do now is detach the die from the cardstock like this. And this is giving me some trouble because my die cutter is kind of old and it does not cut like it used to. Probably could use a new shim too for it. There we go. Uh-oh. I was afraid that was going to happen. So what we're going to do here is going to make this a little smaller than we thought it would be. Going to do like that. And we're just going to cut off this a little bit here. You can cut this down to probably about any size you want. In fact, I'm going to cut this down just a little bit more. Going to do like that. You can write Merry Christmas under that if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some glue on here. I'm using Barely Art glue that you can find at katscrappiness.com as well. And we're just going to put it on here like so. I think. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to show you how to glue this on. We're going to make sure this is going to be equally on both sides here. So we're going to tape this first. So we're going to go ahead and tape this side here, which will be the left side of the card. On the left side, I mean. It's going to go like this. Then we're going to go not quite halfway, like about there, and about there with the tape. So we're not going to go quite halfway across, and we're going to leave this side open. That's the side where the gift card's going to go into. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on it as well, at least a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and just put this down like so, making sure we're even in everything. It looks like we are. A little tiny bit of tape showing there, but that's okay. That'll be taken care of. And here you go. We have a gift card holder. Let that dry a little bit, and then you can put whatever you want in there. In this case, I'm just going to show you for demonstration purposes. So you can put a gift card in there or whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to diycrafts some more here on YouTube and Kat Scrappiness here on YouTube. I'll see y'all again real soon. Bye.
G'day friends, and welcome to our 2025 Winter Summit. My name's Vicky, and I'm going to be playing with the Simple Sentiments Holiday Edition stamp set, along with the Universal Simple Sentiments Coordinating Die. This is one stamp set, and it will cut out all these sentiments all at once, as well as the small poinsettia craft dies and the pink glitter double-sided premium papers. They're gorgeous actually, and you get lots of different shades of the pink. Now, it isn't real glitter, it's faux glitter, but it is double-sided, and it's just gorgeous. So that's what we're going to be playing with. Okie dokie. So we'll start off with our kit. I have pre-done some stuff just to make it easier. And I have got 2 card bases, but we don't want 2, we only want the 1. Okay, so what we're going to do, I don't know, for those of you that know me, I love to chop my paper into different ways. I love to chop my paper different ways. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to bring in our, I thought I had it, our mini trimmer or guillotine, whatever you'd like to call it, and we're going to chop this at 1 inch intervals or 2.5 centimetres. Now I'm going to keep these in order, right? You don't have to with this paper because you're not going to notice that it is out of order. But if you've got one directional paper, it is a good idea to chop to keep your pattern correct. Now, I'm just going to chop this little bit off. We're not going to notice that much. I just chopped that little bit. That's just where the trimmer slipped. One, 2, 3, 4, and we'll have 5, I think. don't throw that away. Keep that for your inside or your envelope or for another project. Okay. Then what we're going to do is put all these pieces back together. So we want a little bit of glue on the back side of all the pieces. Now what you could have done is added a piece of an adhesive sheet on the back before you chopped it. But I just like to do it this way. One. Now this is a very simple and easy card that you can easily reproduce or recreate over and over again. Whoops. With what you have in your stash. And you can do it for all occasions. It doesn't have to be for what I'm doing it the same as today. And I use this layout a lot. And each time I use it, the cards look totally different. And all I'm doing is leaving a tiny little gap between each piece, probably about 1/8 of an inch, which is about 0.2 centimetres, I think it works out to. Now you can leave it wider if you wanted to, but just make sure that it is nice and even around all sides. Now I have left it longer on purpose. Whoops. Because it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so we're going to grab our guillotine again and we're just going to chop that back a little bit so that it's nice and even. Well, I mucked that up, didn't I? So I'm going to show you what happens when you muck it up when you cut it. So all I'm doing now to fix that mistake is going right around the outside like that. Okay? Hence, I've got another piece of pink cardstock. And we're just going to add that to there, and you're not going to even know. So I'm going to take a little bit off before I stick it down. And look at that. Perfect. And once we stick this down, you're not even going to know that I've made a mistake. Well, there is no mistake in crafting. There's always ways around it. Okay, look at that. Just like that. Then we're going to bring in our base card, eh? Now this is just white cardstock, and I'm just making sure that my ends match up, and then we're going to score down, burnish down that score line. I like to do both sides because I like them nice and crisp, that fold. And we will put a layer of that pretty pink paper onto our base card, eh? Now, with this paper, because it's non-directional, I'm just going to, because it's non-directional, we can either go this way, portrait, or turn it that way and go landscape. And I think we might do portrait, eh? So we'll bring in our poinsettias. I've got a large one, extra large, medium, small, and small. And I've got this little piece here that we're going to use for the centre. Now, you could die cut a couple of these and use them as embellishments if you wanted to. We're not going to use this one. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. We're going to grab our bone folder and we're just going to fold up, well, not fold up, but curl the points of our poinsettias. And all I'm doing is holding the middle and going from petal to petal. But I'm being very gentle because I don't want to rip off our petals. Especially with this one, it's really delicate. Just like that. Then what we're going to do is grab our adhesive and put these together. I'm just going to hold that together for a minute. Then we'll bring in our small one. Whoops. And just put that on the top there like that. Easy peasy, eh? Then we'll grab this little one. Add a little bit of glue to the back. And then stick that on the top like that. Whoops. I've got glue all over my hands here. Just like that. I'm just going to grab some dimensionals, foam tape, foam dots, whatever you got in your stash. And we're just going to add a couple around the outside as well as in the middle. Now I like to take the sticky lids off as I go. You can also use a tool to take your sticky lids off, but I just find it easier this way. Now I'm sort of thinking let's do it down the bottom, eh? Just for something different. And I'm just going to fluff up these petals once more. I know they're going to end up flat in the mail, but you know what? They look good for the moment. Okay, now this is the large poinsettia, and I know in the die set we do have a leaf, okay, but I just found that this leaf was too big for my card. So what I've done is die cut a large one, which is this one here, okie dokie. And then all we're going to do is chop off 3. We want 3, eh? Now, see, that line down the middle. If you wanted to, you could just gently fold that like that, and that will give your leaf a little bit more dimension. You could also go around this with ink and a sponge dauber if you wanted to, but I think we're just going to leave them flat. I'm going to put one there, just on the back of each one. I don't stick the whole thing down. I let the tops hang loose. One there. And I think we will put one here, eh? Maybe one there. Now you could also pop these up if you wanted to. There you go. Okie dokie. Now I have already done our sentiments, or sentiment, and already die cut it. Now I use the mini Misty to stamp my sentiment onto white cardstock, and I've die cut it. I use the VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink to stamp my sentiment, and we're going to use Merry Christmas. Now I also wanted to layer this, so let's layer this onto the pink as well. Now these poinsettias, we could have cut them out with paper, the same in a darker pink. That would have looked nice. Or we could have sponged ink over them. That would have also looked nice. Another way you could do it too is dab Versamark over it, over your shapes, and add embossing powder. There you go. Look at that. I can't believe I got that so straight, eh? Okay, so that's our sentiment, and we're going to pop that up, eh? And I'm going to actually cut down the side. And just pop that on the middle, just like that. And we'll put that about there, I think. Now we could have stamped the sentiment in the same colour card, or a colour that would blend in with the colour, but I don't have it. So what I'm going to do now, I did have I'm just looking for I've got some pearls that I thought we could put on this one. So we'll grab our doobidacker. We'll put one in the middle. And we're just going to scatter a couple around, eh? We might do 5. What do you think? There you are. Press them down. Once you're happy with your placement, throw that out of the way. And what I do with my leftover paper is I always decorate the inside and the envelope. So I've already done the envelope. That's our matching envelope. And we're going to do a matching inside, eh? Because you've got to have everything matchy-matchy, eh? And that is our card finished. Very easy. I've got glue on there. Just grab a rubber. I do have an adhesive rubber, but I sometimes find this one works just as well. And it was on hand. And that is our card. So we're just going to fluff these up a bit again. And I'm just going to show you another one that I did. Same layout, but with the different colours. And it's landscape. So that's the blue glitter paper, and then that's the pink. Landscape and portrait. Same layouts, same way I've chopped the pattern paper, and 2 cards. Totally different look. Okay, thanks very much. I hope you enjoy the summit. See ya. All right.